Good evening, everyone. I'm Molly the Kush RN, and you have reached Conversations with Kush, where we aim to destigmatize cannabis and view cannabis as medicine through the use of storytelling with patients, industry leaders, scientists, and nurses. Tonight, we have an incredible guest, my very dear friend, who I met a few years ago at the ACNA conference, Miss Sammie Pyle. Well, Mrs. Sammie Pyle.
Everybody. Hello. I'm honored to be here right now. I'm so super excited.
Yeah, so we've had this in the works for a
Yeah.
while now. So
Yeah,
I'm
we
glad
have.
it's finally coming to
Finally.
fruition. Yeah. Sammie
Yes.
is a cannabis nurse educator. She is the founder and CEO of Nursing Nature's Way. She hails from Springfield, Missouri, where they have both a legal adult rec market and a medical cannabis program. So welcome,
Yeah.
Sammie, again.
Yes. Thank you so much. Again, I'm so honored to finally be here, being
Yeah.
vocal about this. It's
Yeah.
time.
How many
Thank you so much
cannabis,
for having me.
of course, how many cannabis nurses do you have in your state
Oh,
that
girl.
you know of?
This many? A
One.
handful?
Okay.
There's a handful of us. I mean, and
Yeah.
we all know each other in different areas of the state. Everybody's kind of throughout the state. There's Kansas City, St. Louis,
Okay.
Joplin. I'm in Springfield, Branson area. So,
Okay.
yeah, but there's just like a handful of us. There needs to be so many more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed in the last couple of years, since finding ACNA, is connecting with my community right here
Yes.
and
Oh, girl.
growing
It's
the
so true. It's
community.
so
Yeah.
crazy how whenever you finally find that support, it's like your tribe.
Oh,
It's like you
totally.
finally feel like you can be vocal and, bounce ideas off of each other and
Yeah.
bounce, patient care and just you feel like you found your space. I mean, I
Yeah,
love
for
it. I
real.
love it.
Yeah,
So,
me too. We had a
yeah.
really great event last week on Friday. It was hosted by one of the local veteran owned dispensaries here
Oh,
called the Warriors
yeah.
Garden. And man, Sammie, the turnout was
Ah!
incredible. It
Ah,
was
it gives me
so
goosebumps,
incredible.
girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a lot
That's
of
so
people
exciting.
that were like in program, so they were already working
Mm.
with, Pacific College and, trying to get through their
Yeah.
certification program, and people that were like, working with patients already,
Hmm.
helping to guide people. So yeah,
Oh, I love that.
it's
I
awesome.
love that. I feel like in our space, we just like I said, there's only just a handful of us
Right.
and there needs to be so many more. And I think that if we're just vocal and we stand up and say, "Hey, this is here, we're established, let's keep going."
Right.
We're not afraid to talk about this openly,
Right.
then there'll be so many more. I'm so
Yeah.
ready for 2025.
Me too. And kudos
Yeah.
to all of the people at the ACNA who have done an
Yes.
incredible,
Amazing.
enormous amount of legwork to
Yes.
partner with ANA, the American Nurses Association, to make
Yes.
sure that cannabis nursing is recognized as a specialty with a test hopefully coming next year so that people can become
Mm.
certified in the specialty. So,
Mm.
yes.
Come on. Yes, it's a very exciting time.
Yeah, it
Very
is.
exciting time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just geeked out about it, as you can tell.
So geeked out. So geeked out. We finally found our people.
Yeah, for sure. So your mission is bridging the gap between the patient, their medication, their provider, and the dispensary, which is an incredible mission. Thank you
Yes.
for doing that work.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. How did you get into medical cannabis?
So I have been a nurse about a little over 20 years. My
Okay.
specialties are critical care and post anesthesia recovery. And with that, of course, I was right in the thick of COVID ICU.
Right.
I was right in the thick of all of that. I'd
Mm,
been a travel nurse for 17 years. I've traveled all over the country from north to south, east to west. And, there was just nothing like COVID. It was
right.
I'm not a soldier. I wasn't in a war. I've never been in a war, but I can't imagine it being too far off from that.
Oh man.
It was it was just awful. I don't even
Yeah.
know how to even describe it.
Yeah.
And with that came a lot of PTSD,
Oh my gosh.
insomnia,
Yes.
anxiety, chronic pain.
Yep.
My husband kind of started noticing, just some things that I was saying that just wasn't right
Sure.
anymore, just some little things that he's like, "Sammie, I think that we need to maybe look into something's going on in your head." Something's just, maybe we need to see a doctor about, something maybe you just need to talk to somebody. So, of
Yeah.
course, diagnosed with PTSD, all the things, and they wanted to immediately put me on pharmaceuticals, Xanax, Prozac, Ambien, Wellbutrin, all of the things, and I just
Right.
really kind of took a step back and thought that's not the route I want to go through.
Right.
That's not the route I want to go to. There has to be a different way. I didn't want to be a zombie. I really wanted
Mm.
to, I was already a zombie. I was
Right.
already at that point. I was at a point where I really like hated my career. I was
Mm.
angry at the work we were doing and
Mm-hmm.
that we weren't doing because we were so, drugged so thin.
Right.
My coworkers were passing away. It was all the things.
Yeah.
And I really just dove into medical cannabis. And it really just turned a different eye and a different approach. I was able to feel my way back through, loving being a nurse again and finding myself again. And that was
Here,
all through
here.
cannabis. I give cannabis
Yeah.
total props.
Mm.
But when I started that journey, I was very alone. There's nobody,
Yeah.
you got your med card today. I remember getting my med card, and the first thing I said to that doctor was, "Who's going to know about this? We're freaked
Exactly.
out. We don't want to say the word. We don't want to talk about cannabis."
Did they know
So it was a
what to
very
do and how to guide
lonely,
you?
right? And there was nobody. There was
Did your
nobody.
provider know?
No, not at all. No,
Okay.
it was a 5-second conversation, and that was it. You
Okay.
go to the dispensary and good luck. And you're talking to a bud tender. Big props to the bud tender. By no means would I ever discourage the bud tenders, but there's no
Yeah.
education. There was no bridge between those two. And it
Sure.
was a journey that I really had to go on myself.
Mm.
So I developed a business and started a business out of sheer uh, creating the person I needed when I needed help myself. And
Okay.
that was just those little questions and the little things. And then as a registered nurse, I wanted to dive into how this helps, how does this help the body? I want to
Right.
learn about the endocannabinoid system. And I distinctly remember, I will never forget driving down this certain road, and I will never forget hearing the voice saying, "You're not the only one. You're not the only one that needs this medicine. So
Yeah.
take that and run with it." I will never ever forget that day. And
That's awesome.
nurses, we need a safe space, so
Mm-hmm.
let's provide that. So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
just the more holes you dive down, the more you learn and grow, and it's such a welcoming community,
Yeah.
the medical community. So
How
that's
have
where I'm at
you
now.
has that changed then since you've kind of come into it, and has that process improved between providers and patients and dispensaries, or are nurses really the only source for
Um,
that
I
guidance?
feel like it's definitely changed. I've definitely seen things grow.
Okay.
I'm in the state of Missouri. We were just fully legal not too long ago, and I feel like it's totally grown since then. Um, but the medical part of it is we're still lacking. We're still lacking educators. Um, and that's just a field that we really need to continue to grow. We need to grow in. One thing that I have learned in cannabis, though, is that if you can think of it, if you can see that vision and a need for that, there is space for you. There's
Right.
space for you with this medicine. So it's
Nice.
all just a learning, growing experience,
For
really.
sure.
So.
Um, how, like, what are you doing in the community then to try to provide that education?
So I do community classes. I do some virtual meetings. I do meetings in coffee shops. I've had meetings at some cannabis consumption lounge here in our area. Just a
Okay.
lot of meetings, a lot of educational things. One thing that hit really hard was our women's class. I developed a
Yeah.
women's class that was,
Awesome.
yeah, that just really went over so big, and in that women need a space to talk about all of the women things.
Yeah.
So that class was huge. Just community education, and then I work one-on-one with patients developing cannabis care plans.
Okay, great.
With patients that are looking for something different besides big pharma.
Yeah,
So
great. So talk a little bit
yeah.
more about nursing Nature's Way then. What was it? What would it be like for, so like I got my card today. If I was going to come to
Mhm.
you, like how would that look? How would you help me on my cannabis journey?
So you would just reach out to me via my website or social media. We would do a conference call to see how I can help you. If you decide that cannabis is a route you'd want to go on after that little conference call that we had, then we would dive in deeper together. I would look at your health history, your medications. You know, we need to cross check all of those meds and make
Right.
sure about the side effects with your medications, because there are side effects with meds.
Sure.
And then I would do an educational class with you and make sure that you understand the endocannabinoid system and how this medicine works for you, how it can work for you. And we would set goals together, and then we would talk about products. I've done dispensary tours with
Awesome.
patients that have never been to a dispensary. I'm like, hey, I'll go with you. I'll be your sidekick. You know, we'll
Yeah.
do this together, because it can be very intimidating. So,
Yeah, for sure.
um, and then we just kind of set out a plan. We do follow-up calls to make sure things are working for you, and everything's always adjustable. Like, that's what I love about cannabis,
Yeah.
is that it really gives you back the power over your health.
Exactly.
You know, there's so many different modalities, the different ways that you can ingest cannabis that people just don't know about.
Yeah.
So we just develop a care plan and work together. So
Cool.
that's it.
Are most of your clients then people that are new to cannabis, or do you get sometimes those seasoned smokers that are wanting to
I
like
get
smoke
both.
less or
I get both.
okay.
Absolutely. It's funny. My favorite patients are like the 70, 80-year olds. They're like, what can you possibly teach me about cannabis? I grew up in the 70s. I know all about that stuff. And I'm like, turns out it's way different these days.
Right.
You have a lot more options now. So those are always my favorite. And just to
Yeah.
see, I think I do work with a lot of people that just don't know about it. They're just, they've heard about it and they just need some guidance. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just all it amounts to, is just a little bit of education goes a long way. So
Sure.
I
Do
would
you have
rather give people the education and empower them to make their own decisions. So
yeah,
that's
and I think as nurses that's what we do.
that's
Right?
exactly what we do.
You know,
Yeah,
when the doctor
absolutely.
comes in and they rattle off a bunch of information about their diagnosis and then,
Yes.
they leave, you look at the patient and be like, no, what do you understand about what they just said?
Right.
And then
Mm-mm.
we kind of break it down
That's
into more
very true.
digestible, a more
Yeah.
digestible information that they can, understand and they can ask questions
So
about then. And
true. Yeah,
so,
so
yeah,
true. And I think it's important for nurses to know also that we learned from day one in nursing school that we would be educators.
absolutely.
And we're just educating on a medication. I had a really big turning point. Those shift moments in your
Hmm.
life. And I had asked another nurse, like, how can you talk about this medicine? And she's like, that's all I'm doing is educating on a medication. And it was so
Exactly.
simple and so profound.
Mm,
And so, like, yes, that's all we're doing. We're no different than a diabetic educator. We're
right.
no different than all of those other modalities that we're educating on.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. I just feel like it's so much more complex sometimes, but I guess when
yeah,
I
it's so
parallel it
true.
next to like diabetes though, like that's also complex.
Yeah, yeah,
So the different
very much
education
so.
things you would talk about, I would imagine would be the endocannabinoid system,
Absolutely.
how to like upregulate that. So like,
Yes.
managing your diet and your stress and your
Yes.
spiritual health, is very important to
Yes,
that. Your
ma'am.
sleep.
It's such a holistic approach, I
It
feel like,
really is.
where we don't really get that necessarily in the hospital with all of those other things.
Right.
But with cannabis, we're really, to upregulate the endocannabinoid system, it really is a holistic approach to all the
Mhm.
things you just said. So,
Yeah. Well, and as
yeah,
nurses, we're looking at the whole person. So it's and
absolutely.
again, like a natural fit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, what have been kind of like some of the hurdles as you navigate
Oh,
through this
girl.
business?
Being able to sit here and have this conversation.
Right?
Yeah,
For
just kind of
starters.
coming out of my skin and just being like, This is a medicine we need to talk about. We need to
Yeah.
have these conversations." So I literally just had a nurse the other day. I still work at a hospital, level one
Yep.
trauma center in my hometown.
Mm.
I'm extremely supported by my management. And I, like, just yesterday, had a nurse come up to me and she's like, how can you talk about this online? It's just so funny. The nurses come out
Yeah.
of the woodworks, and it's just, growing that thick skin. I mean, we are nurses at the bedside. We have been to hell and back with these people.
Hmm.
Why can we not talk about a medicine that we know works?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, you talked about during COVID, and that's how I kind of came into
Mm.
cannabis too. I just like started making edibles for all my friends, right? And it's like,
Oh, I
whoa,
love
there's
that. I
there's
love
a
that.
lot of people that are using cannabis already,
Yes.
So now
Yes,
people,
ma'am.
other nurses will come to me and be like, "Oh, hey, I got this blah blah blah, this vape." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, stay away from those," Just different things that will come up,
Yeah.
but just like we know that our patients are using cannabis, we
Yeah.
also know that our colleagues are too. I mean,
Yep.
healthcare PTSD is a real thing, and it just
At
doesn't
an
happen to
all-time high.
us for sure. It's
Yeah.
medics, it's doctors, it's
Yep.
physical therapists, it's social workers. I mean, this what we went through is crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
we're living proof that the effects of cannabis really can benefit people and get them back
Yeah.
to a state of wellness and homeostasis. So
I love that. Yep.
yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for doing that work. It's really important, and I would
Yeah.
imagine that when I think of like Missouri, maybe is not always ultra liberal like
Right?
we are maybe a little bit more liberal, like not much though in Minnesota. And healthcare is not liberal. I mean, healthcare is very
Right.
conservative, so it's hard to like break through those stigmas and have those talks and
Yeah.
to come out of that closet. So I
Yeah.
admire your bravery. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It helps me.
It's really crazy. Like I even have nurses coming at me in the hospital. They will come and find me and be
Yeah,
like, "You're the cannabis nurse we've heard about in the hospital." I'm like,
yeah,
"It's me," so
yeah.
yeah, it's been crazy. It's been
what's
crazy.
What's your vision for us going forward, like especially maybe amongst your own hospital system? You said that your management was really
Yeah.
supportive. Have you asked to do like education and, give to education to the staff or yeah,
I'm
right?
hoping that is my vision for 2025. It is time that we support our medical cannabis community, and that starts with education. It doesn't mean that you agree with it, but it means that you're educated on it, that you can make
Right,
informed decisions to support your patients.
right,
And we just need, as a community, to just embrace what's going on. It's not going anywhere, okay?
right.
So, my vision is definitely to get into more healthcare facilities, doctors' offices, some pain clinics, really just to send out a lot of marketing material and get that ball rolling that, hey, there is somebody in your community that's educated on this that can help where help is needed. So,
Right. Yeah.
I'm
And
hopeful. I'm really hopeful.
I believe in you, and I think it's going to happen
Yeah.
across the board, even in other places like here. I hope
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
will come to fruition.
Yeah.
It becomes Sammie, an access issue. When people,
Yes.
especially in states when you have a medical program, people want to
Yes.
be able to access their medication, and when you have
Yes.
these strong stigmas against cannabis as medicine, you are preventing access to that. So,
Absolutely, girl.
you
You
know.
nailed it. That is so true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we
That's
we
so
need
true.
to keep these conversations open, and
Yep.
I don't know what you experience, but I work in an emergency department in my local hospital, and
Hmm.
the minute someone rolls through the door vomiting and smelling like weed, they're like, "Oh, just this
Oh
big
my
eye
gosh.
roll." It's this big eye roll, and
Yes.
it's like, "Hey guys, like they're
Yes.
just accessing their medicine, just like
Yes,
anyone coming in
exactly.
that hasn't taken their blood pressure pills and now their
Same.
pressure's sky high.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
those little moments when we
And
can just be like, okay, let's pause. This is
yes.
medicine. It's not a drug. We need to
Ah,
reframe the way we think about it. So
mm.
yeah.
Yes, girl, yes. And I think, I think it's really funny too, whenever I'm in the hospital and I vocalize to patients that, hey, cannabis nurse educator, patients are so much more open to me, and they
Yeah.
really do open up, and they're like, oh, you provide a safe place for me to be able to talk about this. So it's just being vocal. We just got to not be scared. We're not
Yeah.
going to lose our nursing license. We just have to really be mindful about what we say and how we say it, but
Yeah.
we are supported. We
Yeah.
are supported by the National Council State Board of Nursing.
Exactly.
We are supported, and it's just finding those little things vows of confidence for
Yeah.
us to have the conversation. So
How about more like on a personal level? Like, how did your family react, and how did your, like your grandma, like when you tell your grandma, like, hey, Gran, you need a gummy?
Well, really, it's been my parents have been the funniest, biggest transition. My dad is a big bad Marine, so we
Okay.
abide by the government, and the government
Sure.
says no. But I
Yeah.
will tell you, my father is 1000% for it now. After
Awesome.
education, it's all about the education. And my
Yeah.
mom, she now, she lives by the creams, and she has
Yeah.
her nighttime gummies, and she's got the little ladies at the church going to get the creams. And
Awesome.
so it's taken a long time,
Yeah.
but
That's so
and what's
dope.
really I think the funny thing is people that know me are like, are you crazy? What are you doing? You're jeopardizing your nursing career. You're talking about this openly. And I've gotten a lot of that. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I freaking am talking about it. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
having those conversations. So,
That's so cool. And like, we're
yeah,
not going to change hearts and minds unless we're having those really
no,
meaningful one on one
yes,
conversations with people and being like, hey, what are
absolutely.
you actually scared of? Like, let
Yeah,
me show you a
yes,
different way. And
yes,
I think, they do want to know that that they can use cannabis and they don't have to feel high, or they can use
yeah,
cannabis to help treat their arthritis and they never have to put anything in their mouth, or, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
just breaking it down and showing people that there is another way, I think
Yeah.
is so helpful.
And also to provide a safe space so that patients
Yeah.
know about the side effects of cannabis. They're not death. You're not going to die.
Right.
And to educate on that whole, there's no receptors found in the medulla oblongata that controls the respiratory drive. So you're never gonna overdose on this. And
Right.
just, making sure that patients know about that is super, super important. So
We need the propaganda, whatever they used, during the 30s and 40s to nix cannabis and put prohibition into place. We need
right,
that exact propaganda in the opposite direction now, because it was so
exactly.
powerful and impactful.
Yes.
So yeah, we definitely need that.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you have people come like returning then and like sending you referrals and being like, hey
Absolutely.
man, I know this really.
Absolutely. What's really crazy is that I just have to tell this really quick story is
Yeah.
that I have a bestie,
Okay.
and she literally right before I got on here just sent me a message about someone that she's referring to me that she has no idea how to get this whole ball rolling, but she's kind of been a little bit hesitant to talk about it with me, but the referrals come from everywhere.
Yeah.
The more your presence is on social media, the more people hear about you. It's word of mouth. It's
Hmm.
really word of mouth. So
Yeah.
it does spread like wildfire. People need this medicine. They're looking for something different besides big pharma. They're looking for other ways to heal
Yeah.
and just feel better. And like you said just a minute ago, not everybody wants to get high. Some just want to get better.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's just providing that safe space. But the word of mouth is the key.
Yeah.
That's really where most of my patients come from is, hey, somebody
Awesome.
referred me. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully a bunch of people will see this podcast and know where they
oh,
can
talk
go.
to me. I will
Because,
educate whoever, wherever. Let's
well,
go.
I was going to say, and I just want to make it clear to the audience that you work virtually, right? So it's a
Yes,
virtual call that you can make. So you can help anyone
absolutely.
from around the country. It doesn't have to be right in
Absolutely.
your local
Oh,
home state there.
you're absolutely right. I have a lot of nurse friends, and I'm not just nurses, but I mean, I have a lot of patients that I work with that are in other states, and that's, by referrals. And also, as a travel nurse, I've been all over the country, so I
Right.
have a lot of different connections in a lot of different places. So, yeah, I virtually, no matter where you're at, let's jump on a call and get this thing
Yeah.
figured out. So,
I think from what I know of you now that, since you've been working in cannabis, you've been kind of sticking around home though, right?
yes,
I was just
you
gonna
are right.
I was gonna kind of ask you like what were some of the other attitudes that you had seen around the country surrounding cannabis, and were those present, were people supportive of it, or was it
Yeah,
talked about, or because
I
I've
think
only
it's
practiced here.
Yeah, I've been, oh my goodness. I can literally say that every state I've been to, I've had that conversation kind of underground.
Okay.
It's everywhere.
Okay.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just like it is here, where it's quiet, where we don't talk about it
Mm-hmm.
until someone talks about it. But
Sure.
it's literally everywhere.
Yeah.
It is, it's everywhere.
All
So
right.
it's
Well,
just, yeah.
let's make a big jump then and keep it
Okay.
personal. Tell me about your personal use.
My personal use.
Yes.
I had when I was back dealing with PTSD pretty hardcore and trying to really get through that. Um, I was really doing a lot of microdosing to try to break through those feelings and, try to find my way through those things. Now it's not so much. I don't feel like I have to do that much. I don't have to go as deep. Microdosing is the key.
Right.
Microdosing multiple times throughout the day in little bouts. And when I'm talking about cannabis, it's not all THC.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so many other cannabinoids that are helpful, CBD, CBG, CBN.
CBN.
So those are more what I gear towards. I definitely like regimens that provide the entourage effect where I do use more cannabinoids than just one particular cannabinoid.
Right.
I think the more that we educate, the more we see you got to have that high THC all the time to get through and do anything, and that's not where it's at really at all.
Exactly.
It's terpenes and it's those low doses, and once you find your sweet spot, then just ride that out with that sweet spot. So for me, it's more about CBD, CBG, CBN, and
Okay.
little doses of THC, but it's really about microdosing. It helps mentally just kind of keep all those feelings at bay. I definitely still have triggers when I'm in the hospital. Like the other day, I had to gear up and go into a patient's isolation room. And
Exactly.
instantly, it was like a horrible trigger. And holy crap, what the hell just happened in my brain? And, you just got to calm down and talk
Yeah.
yourself off the ledge. So
Yeah.
there's still definitely triggers, but microdosing with CBD, CBG, CBN, the other cannabinoids really helps. So,
Thank you for talking about that trigger. In fact, it's something
yeah.
that the Lindsay, the nurse that gave me certified me for my medical card, asked me
Hmm.
about what are your triggers, and I said it's always the time of the year when we have to like start wearing masks again because of flu season or whatever, or we go into a patient's isolation room and you have to gear all up with
Yes.
the mask and everything, and you're just like, ooh. Like when
Yes.
you come
That's
out of
so
that room, you
true.
just want to rip it off, you know?
Yes. I
So,
just got well, I didn't just get, but I got an email a few weeks ago, probably like a month ago. I don't even
hmm,
know about having to go get my fit test again and get fitted
yep,
for the N95. I have put it off and put it off and put it off and put it
yeah,
off and put it off just because it's a really bad trigger. So
yeah.
just we're getting there.
Yeah, well, and for the
Yeah.
last couple of years, in our system, the flu shot is mandated unless you
Oh
can
yeah.
decline it, but you will have to wear a mask then for the entire flu season. And I'm always just like, oh, what
Yeah.
do I do? So I usually
Yeah.
just break down and get it, but like such a tough choice.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And I think some
um,
other triggers too is being in the hospital when I'm with patients and they talk about how COVID wasn't real. That's a bad
mm,
trigger.
yeah,
Don't walk into a
right.
healthcare facility and talk about how COVID was not real.
Yeah,
Let me just
yeah.
PSA there for a second, but
Right. No, I appreciate that because I do
yeah.
think there are some of those attitudes still kind of lingering around. And
Yes.
for us, it was very real, people.
Yes. Very, very real. Yeah.
So, another thing that you and I have embarked upon is
Yes,
a
we have.
journey of psilocybin microdosing. So,
Yes.
Sammie and I have been working with Megan Bang and Ariane Williams from the Trusted Canna Nurse doing a nurse only supported cohort of microdosing psilocybins. And I, for one, have never felt better in my entire life. I am
Yeah.
about to turn 50 at the end of this month,
Yay.
and I have felt the most mentally fit I have ever felt in
Mm.
my entire life.
Ooh, goosebumps, girl.
Yeah,
Goosebumps.
seriously, it has been life changing. And for
Yeah.
me, sometimes this medicine is almost more helpful than cannabis. And
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
found myself using less cannabis, actually.
Yeah.
The
Gosh, me
breakthroughs that
too.
I've come through and the intentional way that we're
Hmm.
using this medicine has been
Yeah.
so incredible. And if you haven't, if you've heard about psilocybins before and you're curious about them, I would highly encourage you to explore further and maybe get working with someone that can help and guide you through a psilocybin microdosing protocol,
Yeah,
because it is life-changing.
it really, really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Again, there's that huge stigma around it, but like you said, you're not doing it for that psychedelic, you're
Yeah.
not doing it for that kind of thing.
Right.
It's been just such a mild microdose, but so life-changing, like you
Yeah.
said. It's been really eye-opening
And it's
about
not
setting
just
intentions with everything you do. Sorry.
no, I apologize. And it's, for me, it's not even just the days that you're dosing, it's also the days that you're not dosing. Like,
Not
you
dosing.
just
Yeah.
come to these moments of clarity, and it's like this, they call it
Yes.
integration, and it's like things that you should have known all your life and you're just
Yeah.
now clicking into, and it's like, what? What have I been
Right.
doing with my one
Right.
precious life? You know,
Oh, girl.
or it's
That's
getting
so
over,
true.
you know, some people have talked about like craving less alcohol if they're using it for
Mm,
alcohol, or feeling less pain if they're dealing with chronic
yeah.
pain. And it's just like so many things it can open up for you.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
it's been
It's been
awesome.
definitely a journey. Something that I would not change for anything and wish I'd have done a long time ago. So,
Yeah.
um, it's been, like you said, just a microdosing. And on the days that you haven't microdosed is the days that are, just so much better. I don't know how to
Yeah.
say quite how important it is to set intentions at the day. I
Mm-hmm.
never really knew how important that was.
Yeah.
And when you set intentions, not expectations, completely different intentions, when you're intentional about the things you do, about the ways that the things that you watch, the music that you listen
Yeah.
to, just the things that you have enter your space, you have control over those things.
You do.
And I think that we so feel like we're out of control. And it has been definitely an eye-opening journey to just regain my power, regain all the things, get rid of the stuff that doesn't matter, and really just focus on things that do matter. And I've had some pretty big epiphanies for this year and what's to come in 2025. And it's really that psilocybin has really helped with that journey. So
Same.
I'm so glad we're on it together,
Me
girl. It's
too.
been
It's
so
so
awesome.
cool. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And
it's
just the
been so cool.
camaraderie of, like, you know, seeing
Yeah,
the same people every week, and like, you
yeah,
know, one thing that's been talked about is the witnessing of
yes,
people. And
yeah.
when somebody
It's been
said
really
that
beautiful.
today, yeah, it is, you
Yeah,
know. And to be going through this as a shared experience of like being a
yeah,
nurse, and like, of course, we're all doing it for our own reasons, but yeah, that whole witnessing process of like seeing people get better, and like
yeah.
seeing them
Have
really,
breakthroughs.
yeah, come
Like
through to
it's
these
so
epiphanies.
empowering.
It really is. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been awesome. So thank you for taking that journey with me.
Yes. I
I
was so glad you were on it with me.
Yeah, it was. It was really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we
been
met a
awesome.
few years ago, and we've just always kind of kept in touch a little bit. And
Yeah,
so yeah, it's been cool to wrap
yeah.
it like this.
I
And
can't wait to squeeze you someday.
yes, I know.
Yeah,
They need another conference.
I
ACNA,
know.
get it together. We're
I
ready for a meetup.
know. I know. I want them to do the big national conference again. I don't know when they're going to do that, but I did
Yeah.
get selected to do a regional conference in our area,
Awesome.
so that will be
Okay.
super cool. Didn't you just have one?
We
Did you just
did,
have
but
one in
it
your
wasn't
area?
sponsored by ACNA. So
Oh,
they
okay.
had, yeah, we just kind of did it
It was
on
the one
our
you just
own.
did. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so
but
cool.
we, you know, we will certainly can consider that for next time. You know, we just have to get all
Yeah,
the pieces together in the right places. But yeah, we
yeah,
had a great turnout. So
yeah.
the need
Sweet.
and the want is there.
Mm.
So nurses, come on down.
Yeah, bring it, girls. Bring it, boys. Let's go.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of avenues that we can do with this. So,
Yeah.
for me, I'm really interested in doing like policy work. So, both at the
Oh, yeah.
legislative level and within my own organization. You know,
I
I
love
think
that.
that we can make effective changes right in our own workplaces. And I hope that's where to start. But, like, also on
Yeah.
a more broader level, through legislation in my state, and hopefully nationwide, then as we try to
Mm.
get cannabis federally legalized. I think it's going to be a tough with this maybe new administration, but who knows what will
Oh,
happen.
I don't, girl. I think they're gonna bring it on. I think they're
Okay.
gonna bring it on. I think it's coming sooner than what we think.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm anxious to see about the rescheduling
Yeah.
conversation that is to take place. And I've always been kind of a free the plant type of person.
Yeah.
And
Same.
I want to say too, I talked a little bit about this with you earlier. We talked about harm reduction, and hearing
Mm,
Rachel Parmalee at the Hemp Fest in Wisconsin, and it was a very much an attitude of like free the plant, like let's
yeah.
stop talking about this term of harm reduction and
Yes.
start accepting people as using their medicine. And even if it's just
Mhm.
taking a little puff, like maybe if that's what they need, that's what they need. So,
Exactly.
yeah, how do you support people through harm reduction, or how do you see that?
Oh, I just feel like if it helps you, do it. If
Yeah,
it's something that gets you through what you're going through, then there's nothing wrong with that. Like
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it.
yeah,
If that puff, if that edible, if that topical, if it helps you, do it.
right,
I have had this conversation so many times with my mother. Um, just do it. If it's helping you, what harm is happening?
right.
So harm reduction. Oh,
Yeah,
we've
it's a
got it.
tough
We
one. Yeah,
it is a tough one, yeah.
yeah. But I mean, there are some things that we always have to consider to keep people
Yeah.
safe with cannabis, and that is, of course, medication interactions,
Yes.
surgeries. We talked a little bit about that too when I got my certification because I'm having surgery next week. So,
Oh,
there's things that you should consider,
yeah.
and that's why if you are a complex medical patient, it's always advised that you work with a nurse. I think.
Yes,
Um, you know,
absolutely.
in your state, then, do you have to do like a consultation with a medical professional when you are in the medical program, when you go into like a dispensary to get medicine, or how does that work? Tell me.
No, I think you can just walk in and get whatever you need.
Okay. Okay.
As far as, yeah, there's no kind of things that you have to do as a medical patient. There is nothing. You have to reapply for your license. You have to see a physician. It's usually a telehealth visit that takes a couple of minutes. It doesn't take very long at all.
Okay.
And it's literally to just get your card.
Is
So
there a list
get
of
your card and
qualifying
then,
conditions?
what'd you say?
Is there a list of qualifying conditions?
Yeah, there is
Okay.
definitely a list of qualifying conditions, at least 25 plus, 30 plus qualifying conditions. Like there's no reason why you shouldn't get qualified.
Yeah.
And our Missouri medical program is really awesome, and they
Is
have
it?
done such
Okay.
a great job with it. Yeah, it's really regulated. They keep up to date on it. It is really awesome. I'm super proud of our state for the work that they've done. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, I'm super proud of our state. I've kind of branched down into Arkansas a little bit. I live right on the Arkansas line. So
Okay.
Arkansas is medical only. And so I've done some education down there just across the border. So every state's different, but I really am very proud of our state of Missouri. We've done a really great job with the medical program. So
Okay.
and supporting our patients.
Is there still a hemp derived market too, or has it moved over?
Yes.
Okay, so you have
Yeah,
that
there's
available.
absolutely a hemp derived market as well. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think that that will stick around, and I think that's where a lot of medical patients in our state anyway might end
Uh-huh.
up because those are lower doses. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
I actually just got hooked up with Dr. Solik. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a
yes,
cannabis
I do know
doctor,
Justin
and
Sulak.
he
Yeah,
yeah, he's got his own brand, and I just got hooked up being working with his brand, and
that's
I'm
dope.
gonna do some education. They have a certain regimen that helps dementia patients.
Awesome.
And they have some edibles, yeah, three times a day gummies that have low CBD, CBG, THC. And so we're going to be doing some education in 2025 with some facilities around our area,
That is
and really
great.
promoting that. So, yeah.
Healer.com, right?
Yeah. It's healercbd.com. Yep.
Okay. Another, again, audience trusted resource for cannabis
Hmm.
education, information, and now products. So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I'm
Thank
super
you.
excited to help out
Yeah,
with that. So I'm really excited to go into some long-term care facilities and just some senior citizen places, some retirement communities, and really talk about that dementia element to these products. So
I
I'm
can't
really
wait till
excited.
all the little old ladies and men are on their nighttime gummies.
Right?
Everyone's going to be getting so much good rest.
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh. Could you
My
imagine
mom,
being there? How fun will that be?
yeah, my mom has dementia. I've shared this
Uh-huh.
before. And whenever she's having a bad day, I'll be like, Mom, do you need a gummy? And she'll be like, yes. Or,
Yes, for that.
I live with her and,
I love that.
if I'm smoking or something after work, she'll come down. She'll be like, I smell something. And I'll be like, you want to hit it, Mom? She'll be like,
Yeah.
yes.
Have a
Okay.
hit, Mom. That's awesome.
So yeah, she's into it.
You know what's funny? One of the biggest things that really I feel like changed my dad's mindset kind of
Mm,
was I had went to an event where we were able to take a plant home.
okay.
And it was just a little, plant. I ended up bringing it home and just giving it to my dad to hold on to. And he held it, and I have a picture of him holding it. And I was like, Dad, this is it. And he's like, What am I holding? What is this? And I'm like, You're holding medicine. And it was
Exactly.
really a turning point for him to have it in his hands and see that it's something that can be grown in the ground, in the backyard. We can
Yeah.
grow it right now, Dad, and you can have your medicine. And so I
Yeah.
feel like that was a really big turning point for him too, was that, hey, it's just a plant. That's all it
Cool.
is,
Yeah.
just a plant.
Is he
So
growing now, full on?
he's not, but we have talked about it.
What's
Like, we
the
need a garden, Dad.
what is the in your state, what are the laws like for what are the provisions for people that do want to grow their own medicine?
Yeah, so we have some really good provisions for caregivers,
Okay, awesome.
especially anybody, that if you get a license, you can grow up to 6 plants, multiple plants. So we have a really good program that surrounds caregiver or growers. So
Okay.
if you want to be an independent grower, you can grow so many plants and be a caregiver to certain people. So yeah, it's
Can you
it's such
take
a
on
great program.
it is. We have one too. In your state, can you take on more than one patient?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe I don't remember how many. I want to say three to six
Okay.
patients, and then
Okay.
so many plants per patient. So yeah.
Okay, ours is a little bit different. We have, you can take on one patient at this time, and then
Hmm.
everyone's allowed 8 plants. So 4 flowering,
Oh, okay.
4 in development. But in the caregivers program, you can only take on one patient right now. But
Oh, okay.
that might
Yeah, I know you can
expand,
take on multiple.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I encourage people all the time, like if you grow your own medicine, just like, you want to grow
Exactly.
your own food and eat out of your own garden, like
Right.
you know exactly
Right.
where that food comes from and what you're putting into your body. It's the same with cannabis. So,
We have a guy that a guy that I've gotten hooked up with also that does testing. Certificate of analysis
awesome.
is so important, and that's
Yes,
what
it
makes
is.
regulation. And I know of a person that will do home testing. You don't have to go to some big fancy lab and send your stuff off, but and he's doing great things around our state, just helping caregivers and helping growers do the testing themselves. And it's been really fun to talk to him and work with him. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
as long as I want patients to understand what their medicine is, so that's really important to me.
And
So
they should know, and like I
yeah,
said, just know what they're putting into their body. So those certificates of
absolutely.
analysis are really important. And I'm sure that
Yep.
the medical and the adult rec space ensure that you have that. So
Yeah.
most states
Yep.
do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much. You are so lively. Again, I
Thank
told you
you. I'm
earlier
very
today,
animated.
no, your energy is just like infectious. I love it. I love it so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
So we will show people, we'll flash on screen when the show airs how to reach out to you, but go ahead and just run it down for our audience where they can find Nurse Sammie.
All right. Well, you can find me at nursingnaturesway.com and just drop a little email. Let me know you're interested. Also, social media, of course. I'm on Instagram. I'm Cannabis Nurse Sammie. I do have a Nursing Nature's Way Facebook page, or you can find me on my personal page on Facebook too, Sammie Pyle. And then LinkedIn, of course, Cannabis Nurse Sammie. So multiple avenues. Just reach out. My number's all over. My email address. Just hunt me down. I am
She's an
very
open
visible, very
book.
ready to talk to anybody. I will do dispensary education. We're really going to hit 2025 with women's health.
Perfect.
That's going to be something I'm really going to focus on, along with healthcare education, but really women's health. I'm telling you, when I did those women's health classes, so many women showed up, and
Yeah.
so many women need to know that they have a safe place to talk about pregnancy and cannabis,
Yep.
infertility, perimenopause,
Yes.
menopause, breast cancer, cervical cancers, all the things. Women really need
Yeah.
a safe space. So that's really my focus for 2025. I really want to hit that hard and
Mm.
create a safe place for women to really talk about cannabis and their health. So
Oh, thank you, Sammie. I love that so much. Just
thank
keep
you
it
so
keep it in line with the
much.
girls, with the female plant,
Yes.
right?
We're so
Awesome.
empowered. I mean, it's so empowering. I feel like that's another stigma that we're trying to break through too, is that, long gone are the days of the little stoner, dropouts that wear tie dyes and sit in their,
Right.
in their rooms and play video games all the time. Okay. It's us women. It's the soccer
Yeah.
moms. It's the professionals.
Yeah.
It's all of us.
It's
So
definitely part of the podcast goal, is to show that there's highly
yeah,
functioning professional adults out here using cannabis on a
absolutely.
daily basis. So it's
Absolutely.
nothing to be afraid of or shy away from.
Mhm.
And, you definitely can be functional. And it's
Yeah.
not, some kid hitting dabs in his mom's basement eating Hot Pockets all day. So, yeah.
Right. I feel like if you're able to talk about your Xanax and
Yeah,
your Ambien and all the things why can't I talk about my cannabis? I
exactly.
mean,
Exactly.
so
Louder for the people
that's
in the
where we're
back,
at.
please.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Right.
again, my friend. I look forward to seeing you in person one day so I can give you that big
Yes.
squeeze.
Yes, girl.
And
Yes.
thank you for coming on and letting my audience know who you are and what you do, and that you are one of the trusted sources of cannabis education and guidance.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much for sharing space.
of course. So remember to like, share, comment, subscribe on my YouTube channel. We can be found on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google. So yeah, hit us up. Conversations with Kush. And I am Molly the Kush RN signing off. Have a great night.